Dr. Katey Rayner has many loves in her life. It's easy to see little Cameron is one of them. Long before he came along, she fell in love with her career.
I knew that medical research was something I really wanted to do.
Dr. Rayner's team at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute studies heart disease and the many ways it forms, including the buildup of cholesterol and plaque in the arteries.
We focus on genes called microRNAs, or they're small little molecules in our genes called microRNAs. So they sort of, they regulate how our genes function. So they're, everyone kind of understands genes are passed on from mom to dad, or mom and dad kind of thing. But microRNAs then sort of change how the genes function. So we kind of study those two aspects, the inflammation as well as then these microRNAs, these little molecules, and how they change the inflammation that leads eventually to heart disease.
They are also exploring a potential link between heart disease and other diseases.
Something you discover, in the vessel wall that could be happening to cause heart disease could be happening in the fat tissue to promote insulin resistance and diabetes, and it could be, causing brain injury in response to Alzheimer's disease. So it's the multi sort of disciplinary nature of that kind of research that's always really interested me.
In a field traditionally dominated by men, the 33-year-old scientist has become a role model for women. This postdoctoral fellow says she has looked up to Dr. Rayner since they met at a conference.
I respect the fact that she has a good work-life balance, family life as well as work life, and she's a really good scientist, and it's the best possible combination, and I wanted to work with her, at least just hoping that some of it will rub off on me.
Dr. Rayner's research, along with her innovation, is respected and admired by her peers.
Her thinking is always on the cutting edge, going to places where no one dared to venture before. And so that this is where, new breakthrough can take place. But it involves risk, but, she's willing to actually take those risks and really actually do new things.
Just as challenging as the research itself is finding the means to do it.
Getting funding is something that I'm actually very proud of. Research is primarily funded through public money, through the government. We apply for our research grants, and it's very competitive. I mean, usually it's about between sort of 1 in 10 to 1 in 8 grants gets funded these days. And the funding budgets are actually pretty small.
But there is nothing small about the impact the research can have.
These microRNAs may act as so-called biomarkers. You can actually figure out, by the type of microRNA you have, who's going to be at risk. And then the other thing is that once we figure out what they do, for example, with these special cells, and then we may be able to actually develop means to actually intervene with.
The holy grail in a lot of cardiovascular research, right, is sort of you get a blood prick of your finger, you get this report back saying, you've got this chance of this type of heart disease, or you have this chance of this type of heart disease, and, therefore we'll put you on this medication now and not.
It's a day Dr. Rayner believes will come sooner than we think. Perhaps Cameron won't have to worry about heart disease when he grows up.
And I don't think we're so far off, right? At Mommy's work?
Yeah!
Yeah!